Many had the chance to work with me, but blew the chance. And they don't take you seriously until you advance. And they in the same situation, holding out their hands while our phone is always off. I never answer it. Now you got cut off. I'll put you with the rest of them pesty ass rappers. I hit you with the pestilence. I swat them like a fly to the wall, and I'm dead on them. Flow like a beast, dude, but you can never mark me. I reign supreme, I'm classical like Atari. I'd rather get the green and build empires than party. Cause celebrating life every day is my party. So pardon, dollar bills I'm embarking on. I gotta get it together so I can prove them wrong. And probably by the time you realize that I'm far gone. Rappers wanna be gangsters, afraid to be themselves. Monkey see, monkey do, I guess whatever sells. And when real niggas bring it to them, they cry for help. Spank that ass like your daddy, boy, where's the belt? Cool dude from the block, don't underestimate him. How come 0 to 100 do the estimation? Real quick, real quick. Every time you hear me on the beat, I kick that real shit. Hip hop to the heart, I'ma always rip shit. So clean the shit off your lips, you creating a bad stench, but your game ain't right. You just a square on the bench, New York City, where I'm from, I love my rotten apple. And all you other fruitcakes, go ahead and get tackled. To my people in Bushwick and Fort Greene, Flatbush gave me knowledge since I was 14. So I'm giving back, read the message in my 16. No more nightmares accomplished, my dreams coming true. You can't be true to no one unless you're true to you. I gotta get it, so I'm getting while it getting's good. She gotta get it, so she getting while it getting's good. He gotta get it, so he getting while it getting's good. We over here grinding and giving back to the hood. I gotta get it, so I'm getting while it getting's good. She gotta get it, so she getting while it getting's good. He gotta get it, so he getting while it getting's good. We over here grinding and giving back to the hood. Crossing over, give me the rock and shoot a J on it. Your team members want us on their squad, trade on them. No defense, you fouling out, hit the benches. No standing up when we come through, pay attention. Do they really listen to the scriptures that I'm coming with? Nah, your bars stink, you can miss me with that bum shit. Or that no class shit, or you think you ratchet. Is you really a bad bitch or just a bitch pitching? I pray for longevity and health, y'all pray for riches. That's something you don't pray for, I'd rather go out and get it. Now where the energy at and where the love go? A nigga pillow talking, throw him off the love boat. Now your ass can't swim, let alone you can't float. But I'm the type to help you up and never see you fold. Another day to get it, another minute to gain, another 100 to make, like my homie Bizzle say, bosses. Any move you make could be costly. You see us at the Grammys, we gon' pull up on some Harleys. Yeah, I know I think big and sick and tired of dreaming. Grind after the sun down and keep the eyes even. Fought off on my demons, backslapping the heathen. So you can never kill my vibe even if you're treating. I could only say it once and you could just repeat it. If you ain't about positivity, nigga, then beat it. Get it, so I'm getting while it getting's good. She gotta get it, so she getting while it getting's good. He gotta get it, so he getting while it getting's good. We over here grinding and giving back to the hood. I gotta get it, so I'm getting while it getting's good. She gotta get it, so he getting while it getting's good. So he getting while it getting's good. We over here grinding and giving back to the hood. I am the Django, taking shit in my own hands. Thirsty McGurk, I see they getting it at first glance. I'm in my stance to fight the struggle, I'ma conquer them. Took my kindness for weakness, look at them, I'm bombing them. One fist up, other fist on my chest, all the powers that be. Working to be the best, settle for nothing less. Nightmares in the dream catch, I was writing when I was pulling the tech out the dresser. It's still going on, dog, police got us under pressure. But we try to change that, I'd rather rearrange that. Cause they ain't all bad, so my moms and some of dads with no intention to violate the community in their hands. We need to call off the bullshit, cause life ain't forever. And the Lord looking at us like, boy, they think they clever. Always made it through the storm, cause he created the weather. Cause whether or not you think I'm gonna win or lose, bless you. You're all who you will be, so we don't need to stress you. Bad boys moving in silence just to stretch you. I always give respect, so I respect that, respect back. Talk from the OG, so you know I'm gonna respect that. New York City. Great minds. So I'm getting while it gets good. She gotta get it, so she getting while it gets good. He gotta get it, so he getting while it getting's good. We over here grinding and giving back to the hood. Hello. Welcome to From Where I Stand. I am your host, Carl Ebanks, aka Thirsty McGurk, and we are here to talk about how to progress our lives for the better. This program is not just about talk. We will ask you to join in our actions with us. Our conversations will cover housing, fathers' rights, childcare, incarceration, education, healthcare, and our conversations are about life and how we are going to make a positive progress. Today's guest is Ginger Davis of Sickle Speaks, a powerful advocate for sickle cell. We will talk about testing programs, and what you can do to help. Welcome to From Where I Stand.
Welcome back. I am here with Ginger Davis, host of Sickle Speaks. Welcome, Ms. Davis. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Carl. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Ginger, what path brought you to this moment?
Ooh, I'll try to, well, it's not too much of a long story, but it started with the stories that my mom used to tell me about my older brother, Mark Anthony, whom I never got to meet because he died at the age of 18 months while she was 6 months pregnant with me. And it wasn't until after his death he was diagnosed with having sickle cell disease. And he actually succumbed to a complication that was very treatable, but because he wasn't diagnosed and, steps weren't taken, unfortunately he died before I was born. And so around the age of 8 or so, in my brother's name, I became an advocate.
Nice. Well, what amount of the American population is living with SCD?
In America, we have less than 200,000 children and adults diagnosed with sickle cell disease. You'll see numbers of around 100,000. It's been a while, but pretty much there, and that's across the country. Historically, New York has had the highest population until last summer where Florida beat us out. And we're still trying to figure out whether that's a distinction we want to fight over. But historically, New York has had the most people in the country with sickle cell disease, and 33% of that New York State population is right here in the borough of Brooklyn. But there are no hard and fast figures because there really has not been anything set up by the Department of Health to track birth. So basically they're using an estimation of annual births, but when people die, their birth certificate will say everything else except sickle cell disease or complications from sickle cell disease. And many of us have been advocating, including medical professionals, have been advocating for a long time for that to change, because we need to start tracking, one, not only how many people are dying annually from complications, but which complications. We pretty much know right now which complications are most prevalent in people who are living, and it has to do with the disease itself. Sickle cell disease is an inherited blood disorder. It affects the red blood cells, and what happens is just because a simple switch in two amino acids, they kind of transposed, it's called a single gene mutation, and it is known as a metabolic disorder. And because of that simple gene change, the red blood cell under low oxygen conditions and dehydration the iron inside of the cell will start to stiffen and turn into a rod. So instead of flowing free in the cell normally, when it becomes a rod shape, it starts to change the round shape of the cell into a sickled. That's where the name came from in 1910 by Dr. John Herrick. And it has, over the last 100 and some odd years, I guess before the 80s, really, you had a high mortality rate for children in the first 5 years of their life. And children who live past 5 years, we also started to see deaths again around the age 20. So between 20 and 45, people were also dying. And what we're coming to find out is that has a lot to do with treatment, how people are being cared for.
Well, who has SCD?
SCD, or we should say SCD, short for sickle cell disease, is a disease that is tied closely with malaria. Actually, it is thought to be an immune response to malaria, as how sickle cell disease actually came into existence. And so sickle cell disease is indigenous everywhere in the world that malaria existed and endemically. So we're talking about not just Africa, we're talking about the Middle East. So Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Bahrain, in the Mediterranean, Turkey, Italy, and Greece. Also in southern China, Southeast Asia's countries like Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. Then there's Central and South America as well. In North America, including the United States and Canada, it was basically through migration that it exists here. It's not an indigenous population. And also the Caribbean as well. And not all over the Caribbean. In some places it did migrate there, but wherever malaria was epidemic, you will find sickle cell disease.
And what's being done about this?
Actually, for the first time in over 100 years, there is a lot of activity. I jokingly say sickle cell disease has become sexy, and that's because Wall Street is now backing research. And the research is everything from medical devices and better therapeutics, whether it's supplements or medication, to a cure. So that could be stem cell research and also gene replacement therapy, which is the newest of them of all. So we had bone marrow transplant, stem cell transplantation, and now gene replacement therapy. And with all of this activity that is happening now, in 2017, the first precision therapeutic called Endari was released it was approved by the FDA in 2017 and has been on the market for retail sales since then. In November of this year, we had 2 new approvals, Voxelotor by Global Blood Therapeutics and Albrecta, I hope I'm saying that right. Oh, no, I think Albrecta was Global Therapeutics, Adaveco by Novartis.
Okay.
And those 2 are medications though, whereas Endari is a supplemental therapy. And these are to directly address that situation where the cell starts to sickle. So what they're meant to do is to protect the cell from sickling. And if you can do that, another particular complication of sickle cell disease is that the red blood cells in people who are living with sickle cell disease do not live 120 days like a normal red blood cell will. It's half the time, so 60 days or less. And the bone marrow cannot keep up with the production for normal functioning, which is where the anemia comes in. So you're working with a lower volume of blood than you would normally. And so what these 2 new medications are doing is protecting the cell from breaking down, which is called hemolysis. So if it can slow the destruction or the death of the cell and the bone marrow can keep producing, what they're doing is basically raising the hemoglobin higher and closer, not exactly what a normal level would be, something like a number 14. It'll raise a person who's usually around 7 or 8 to a 10, you know, in terms of their count, of their blood count, which is good.
Right.
So that's what the research is showing that it's doing. It's still early, so there is a lot more that needs to be learned. With the stem cell transplantation, the bone marrow has gotten better. The bone marrow transplantation, there is a particular thing where you need 6 out of 6 factors to match perfectly from a donor for a person who's receiving the donation. And it has progressed so much now you only need 4 out of 4 as opposed to the 6 out of 6.
So what
And
actions
that
should be
right
taken?
and if it's from a relative, you know, who matches you, they can match up to 4 of those important factors. If it is a non-related donor, which means anybody who's with the bone marrow registry in the United States or around the world, if they're found to be a match for somebody, they need to be a perfect 6 out of 6 in those factors in order for the recipient's body not to reject the marrow donation. Stem cell has a little less rejection than bone marrow, And basically you can pull stem cells out of a pint of blood. So if somebody goes in and donates blood or stops at the van, you'll see the van on Court Street in front of the United Artists a lot, the Regal Theaters a lot. Go and donate some blood, people. We have the lowest percentage of donors in the United States aside from Asian Americans. You know, so African people of the diaspora, Latino and Asian people need to donate blood. They can actually, through a process called apheresis, pull stem cells out of whole blood and use that as a transplantation for somebody to possibly cure them of sickle cell disease. And there are a few outcomes. There is, you may die from the chemotherapy that you have to get to suppress your immune system, but now they're using lower dose radiation. So that's not really, we have not really seen that happen. We have, you get the transplantation and you will revert to a trait status. Trait is not the disease, it's a lot better in terms of a health outcome. You can be cured, and we're gonna use that term very loosely, where you no longer produce sickle hemoglobin from your bone marrow. Now you're producing the healthy hemoglobin from the donor stem cells. And those are the possible outcomes. And after, as long as there's no major infection or you don't succumb to graft-host disease, which is your body rejecting the stem cells, and if that happens, a lot of times graft-host disease. So the grafted from the host you're getting from the donation, sometimes people's bodies reject that, and it can be fatal, you know. But we are seeing that there is not a lot of graft-host rejection in the stem cell. And now with the gene replacement therapy, what's happening with that is they're using a non-active AIDS virus, which is very malleable. You can make this thing do anything. And they are coding the correct sequence. You can code the correct sequence for the amino acid, that one gene mutation. That's not the research that's happening right now. We're hoping that the pharmaceuticals will get to that. What they're doing right now, they're coding that virus, you know, that inactive virus, to turn on a switch for what's called fetal hemoglobin production. So fetal hemoglobin is the blood that babies have in the first 6 to 12 months of life. After 12 months, it switches over to A hemoglobin, which is what adults have. So that switch that turns fetal hemoglobin off, the gene replacement therapy is now trying to turn that switch back on so that fetal hemoglobin is being produced again by the bodies of adults. So that's children anywhere from 9 years of age and up. The research actually, for you to participate in a clinical trial, to have this stem cell transplantation or the gene replacement therapy, you have to be between the ages of 9 and I believe 35 or 40. They stop it there. And so that's like the big stuff that's on the horizon now. And part of what we do on Sickle Speaks is to inform people that these trials are happening. So we're really there to help bring a lot of this information that is happening from the National Institute of Health, the National Heart, Blood, Lung Institute. I know I probably said it in the wrong sequence, but it's part of also NIH. And those studies that are happening at the National Institute of Health now are being expanded to hospitals, research facilities around the country. So we helped people to find out what hospitals are doing this research in their area, and they can contact the physicians or the nurse coordinator for those trials and see if they qualify to get on. And you know, while they're happening in local areas, they are still happening also at NIH. And we need people to participate, and not only to just get on it, but to stay on it. Because a lot of times we lose people between stages 3 and 4, which is where, especially if they're doing a medicinal therapy, because they have to test different dosages, and people kind of get upset with that because they feel like I'm being experimented on. And the answer, yes, you are being experimented on. That is the purpose of a clinical trial. they have to see which is the most effective dose. And that is what happens in trials in stages 3 and 4.
So how can we help?
Yeah, so, in the 3rd and 4th trial, which is the 2 most important, we really need people to stay with the studies. And as advocates and in community-based organization, we will hold your hand through the whole process just to make sure people get through that.
Okay, what actions need to be taken?
There are quite a few things that are happening now that are really important to the sickle cell community, not only in the United States, but here in New York specifically. We have a bill. We've had a bill since 2011 in the State Assembly and Senate asking for money to create 8 comprehensive sickle cell treatment centers throughout the state, not just here in New York, because we do have it, with the exception of Staten Island. We have comprehensive treatment centers, primarily in pediatrics, throughout the 5 boroughs. Upstate New York is in dire need of comprehensive treatment centers. You have towns like in Rockland County, where there are 2 hospitals, but they don't know how to treat for sickle cell disease. The population there is growing, and people are putting themselves in danger, traveling for hours and hundreds of miles to come into Westchester County or the Bronx to receive treatment that they have confidence in, that they know doctors know what they're doing. And so we need to get treatment upstate throughout the state, from Rockland County all the way up to Buffalo, where there are no programs and people exist. And a lot of that is because you have young people who are going to college throughout the state. And when they're there, they don't really have anything in place to take care of them. So we need to build these 8 treatment centers. And we're asking for $3 million to start with. That $3 million will go to build 3 demonstration centers, and 1 would be here in the city, the other 2 will be upstate New York. And with that, we already have enough evidence. We have evidence to prove with comprehensive treatment, we can actually reduce hospitalizations and emergency room visits to a savings of $3 to $4 million annually for sickle cell. Right now, sickle cell disease is the most costly condition to treat for Medicaid and Medicare in New York State and in the country. With a 3.3% reduction in hospitalizations, we can save that money that we're asking for to do these treatments. So we need for people to call, write, tweet, post to their senators and to their assembly members and ask them if they are already not co-signed on the Sickle Cell Treatment Act to please co-sign the bill. And most importantly, we need everybody calling, email, showing up to the office, tweeting, posting on Facebook, every way of communication that you can to reach Andrew Cuomo. It has been 8 going on 9 years we've been asking for this money. You have enough evidence that these comprehensive treatment centers can save the state money. And if we're really talking about balancing budgets here, if you're really talking about being a justice governor, then do justice and give us the money we've been asking for. We can save lives, we can improve quality of lives, we can decrease mortality, both in children and adults, because again, without these comprehensive centers, we're starting to see deaths again between the ages of 20 and 45. It is not fair, it is not right. And we have what it takes to put these treatment centers in place so we can save lives and improve the quality of life. We also need, as I stated earlier, people to donate blood and tissue. It's really simple. It's a simple swab for the bone marrow donors and for stem cells. And a pint of blood can hook you up to a machine. The blood comes out in like 26 to 35 minutes. You get a drink, you get a snack, and you go on with your day. And for that 1 pint of blood that you donate can save more than 1 life. So that's what people can do to help.
Nice. Wow. Okay. So, what is the contact information?
For Sickle Speaks, you can reach us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Sickle Speaks. They're all the same. We also can be reached through our production company, Untold Story. So if you do SM, which is short for social media, SM at untoldstorymedia.com. You can send us an email there. You can also reach us through one of the community-based organizations that we work with. The Sickle Cell Thalassemia Patients Network is the main organization we work with. We work with 4 other organizations throughout the state, and that is, I'm going to do it phonetically, sctpn.net. So that's S for sickle, C for cell, T for thalassemia, P for patients, N for network.net, sctpn.net, and the number at their office is 347-533-8485. That's 347-533-8485.
Okay. Ms. Davis, thank you for your genius. And please count us as one of your allies.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we need a lot of allies. That's one of the things that I've been working on in the last 2 years is building collaborations. And we have not gotten support from broadcast and cable media, from major media. So having jewels like this show on public access has been a blessing to us to help us educate the public about sickle cell disease and who it affects and how we really need the public to help. So thank you for having us.
Well, we got your back, Ms. Davis, and you got our support.
Thank you.
Nice having you. Thank you for your time, and we will be right back. Welcome back. I would love to thank our guest, Ginger Davis of Sickle Speaks, for her time and knowledge. We are honored that she chose to join us and look towards supporting her efforts. For more information and action items, go to our website, www.fromwhereistand.tv. You can support Sickle Speaks on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Sickle Speaks. Together, we will make positive progress. Thank you for watching From Where I Stand. Peace and love, and I'll see you soon.
To my people in Bushwick and Fort Greene, Flatbush gave me knowledge since I was 14, so I'm giving back. Read the message in my 16. No more nightmares accomplished, my dreams coming true. You can't be true to no one unless you're true to you. I gotta get it, so I'm getting while it getting's good. She gotta get it, so she getting while it getting's good. He gotta get it, so he getting while it getting's good. We over here grinding and giving back to the hood. I gotta get it, so I'm getting while it getting's good. She gotta get it, so she getting while it getting's good. He gotta get it, so he getting while it getting's good. We over here grinding and giving back to the hood.